did see, panel, that there was a story in the Telegraph, and I'm going to show you this because I think this possibly is the story of the day. Chasing butterflies can help reduce your anxiety. Mike, you've done this before.
I have, actually. I do a lot of walking, particularly on the North and South Downs, and there's nothing more beautiful than in spring walking through a copse or a wood on the South Downs and seeing the butterflies starting to fly. Beautiful colours, pale blue, orange, and I don't necessarily chase them, but it has a very, very soothing effect on your mentality and your wellness feeling about being in the country with the butterflies. I love butterflies.
Yeah, have you chased a butterfly?
I haven't. Should I have? I probably should have done.
I just thought I would leave a long silence there.
Do you know what it just makes me think of? That episode of Only Fools and Horses when they're trying to find that rare butterfly. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? No?
Go on.
I can't remember it, but basically Del Boy has this rare butterfly in his hands, which he's caught, and then I've forgotten the name, not Trigger, but the other guy basically comes along and gives him like a high five, but a 10, and squashes the butterfly in his hand.
Oh, man. It's amazing what people were laughing at in the 70s. How come you're into Only Fools and Horses? That's before you were born.
I love Only Fools and Horses.
Really?
That's not before I was born. We used to watch that watching dinner.
Isn't the butterfly, isn't it the greatest example of the mystery and the beauty of nature that a caterpillar can turn into a butterfly? It's the most wondrous thing.
Yes. Yes.
Utterly wondrous.
That's why I said it should be our lead story today.
And when you're a little kid and you see a caterpillar on a bit of cabbage in your garden, but the next morning the caterpillar's gone, but a butterfly's appeared, it's like a miracle.
And The Hungry Caterpillar is a bestseller worldwide, and I read it often.
Do you know what's called the butterfly effect?
Yes,
this phrase, right?
There's a film about it as well.
Is there?
Yeah, brilliant film. Shows how basically the beating of the wings of a butterfly can change the course of history.
That's right. A tiny event somewhere, like wings of a butterfly beating in Brazil, is the answer's always given. That causes an earthquake somewhere in China because everything sort of stacks up. And I remember the great Paddy Ashdown, late Paddy Ashdown, saying, and this is about the John Major government, the John Major government is now prey to the butterfly effect, that one tiny thing, and I think this is true maybe of this government now as well, that one tiny thing happening in one department will cause someone's resignation down the street and a financial crisis. It's that thing where it's chaos theory, isn't it, Mike?
Well, I don't know, really. I can't see how the beating of a butterfly's wings in Rio de Janeiro can lead to, a cataclysmic political change in China or something like that. But I'm prepared to learn. I love butterflies.
It's also to do with, I suppose it's also a metaphor for the tiniest thing can impact everything. So, for example, one click, for me, looking at my husband's profile on LinkedIn, that click is what led to us getting married and having 2 children. One click.
Oh my goodness, the click was the butterfly's wings. See? This has got profound on a Monday as well. OK, this might make you feel a bit stressed. It's the budget on Wednesday. There's already a lot of speculation about what the Chancellor will and won't do. Mr Hunt is under a lot of pressure to make tax cuts. Others say he's got to sort out the public services. What do you think, Marina? Tax cuts first?
Goodness me, absolutely not. Tax cuts now, you can only, look, everyone would love a tax cut, right? But you can only have tax cuts in a strong and growing economy. And after 14 years of Tory rule, that we are not. Absolutely not.
And COVID, you could say, we had a big old COVID thing.
Sure, throw in all the other excuses as well. Yeah. But the fact now that we've got Sunak and Hunt desperately scrabbling around for 2p, by the way, a 2p tax cut in this sort of wasteland of Tory austerity because of their incompetence and corruption is pathetic. And also, do you know what's interesting? They're going to look to fund this by nicking 2 of Labour's ideas, which is funny because they always talk about how Labour don't have a plan. Well, interestingly, they're stealing 2 of the ideas.
Well, that's what you do in politics. That's common sense.
So, but do you know what Labour was going to spend that money on? So, if they do this, it can raise £2 billion. Labour were going to spend that money on, or they're planning, they've pledged this already. They were going to spend it on breakfast clubs for children, which would also help parents, clearing the NHS backlog, and more dental appointments. And yet, if the Tories did get in first and raise this £2 billion, they're going to spend it. They're already going to have spent it before Labour get in, handing out tax cuts.
Mike?
Well, you see, I'm a low-tax person. You say handing out tax cuts, Marina, as though it's a terrible crime to allow people to spend more of their own money, as though it's a terrible crime to give it to incompetent politicians who then waste it, because they do. Politicians...
I agree, they waste it.
politicians are useless at using money, and they should allow more of the money to stay in the people's pockets. I hate big taxes. I hate increased taxes. I would urge as many tax reductions as we possibly can, because I sincerely believe that tax reductions do stimulate an economy. Liz Truss had a good idea, but she carried out so badly, she gave tax cuts a bad name.
Okay,
right?
okay, Mike.
Okay?
Mike, do you...
Brilliant.
Right, so just so you know...
It's a good thing.
Just so you know, in a recent poll, 3/4 of people actually... They're more concerned about our broken public services, from everything from our local authorities to our NHS.
But you could double taxes and they still be broken.
Of course.
No, that's not correct.
No, there would be.
No, it's not. The reason we've had this is because we've had a government which has wasted billions and billions and billions of our money, right? So if you do actually get a government in place, and I don't know who that's going to be yet, we'll see, who actually knows where to put money, which is not tax cuts for the rich, which is not like loopholes for energy companies, which is not reducing the cap on bankers' bonuses so they can spend more. This is where you end up actually raising money for the Treasury, and they can put it into things that are important. But you've got an organisation here, a government here that just wants to use us as a cheap
Right, Mike, I'll let you come back. Let me just take a break, and then we'll get to Mike Parry's response to that. So we'll stay with taxes and the budget after the break. We're asking if tax cuts would win your vote. Would that be enough to get you to come back to the Conservatives if you've left them? Or should they focus on something else? As Marina says, don't give money away, keep it and spend it. Give us a call with your thoughts. 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. First, would tax cuts win your vote? Give us a call. The number is 0207 862 2222. The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is under pressure from some Tory MPs to lower taxes. He and the Prime Minister have been in talks over the weekend to try to find money to reduce the tax burden for voters. So he is on the hunt. And on that score, let's have a... Here he is leading the hounds, the Chancellor. And we're going to try and find him a tax cut, shall we? Because obviously he's on the hunt for a tax cut. To do it, he has to raise... Thank you so much. To do it, he has to raise money. OK? So how will he do it? The foxhounds will show us ways the hunt might raise money. And let's start over here. It's galloping away with the non-doms. The idea there are wealthy people here in this country. Their wealth is overseas. So tax them on the money they've got but isn't here. It's tricky. It's a Labour policy, as Marina was saying. What next? There's a vaping dog there. So, yes, tax vaping. No animals hurt in the production of this graphic, as you know. Next one, airlines, business class taxes. Cut the civil service. There's another one for you. What else have we got? Oh, holiday lets is one as well. Yeah, that's right. So more tax on if you let out a house as a holiday home. And then one more. This is an oil rig strapped to the back of a foxhound. Just to say, so the oil rig is representing oil and gas. More taxes on oil and gas. So he's got about 7 or 8 things. Non-doms, business, travel, holiday lets, civil service, oil rig. Oh, it goes on and on and on. It's just they're scrabbling around a bit, though.
If you were doing this for the right reasons, i.e. because we know that our public services are in a desperate state, fine, scrabble around and try to find them. But the idea that they're going to do this, do you know what this is like? This is like being like, oh, I've got 20 quid left in my bank account and I'm just going to go and spaff it on something I don't need.
Mike?
Well, you see, Marina used the expression tax cuts for the rich. Now,
I didn't. I actually didn't.
You did. Honest to God, it was the last word you used at the end of the last section. Tax cuts for the rich.
Because I don't think this is for the rich, because it is national insurance.
No, anyway, look, the point is, the average wage in this country is about 34,000. By the time you get into the early 40,000s, you are in a new tax bracket because of fiscal drag, OK? So people on very, very average salaries are being massively overtaxed. And one thing we do agree on is the waste of spending by the government. Public spending is out of control. Do you know we've got 56,000 more public servants in the last 2 years in the civil service who are being paid for by our taxes? It's an absolute scandal, the waste. And I think we should look over to South America, where a chap called Mr. Milei is the new president of Argentina.
Argentina.
And let me tell you,
since he's been in power, things have got even worse.
Let me tell you that he has sacked 30,000 people from the public payroll, including people who didn't do proper jobs like we have in our public sector here. And already the economy of Argentina has turned round.
No, it hasn't.
He's found growth.
It's got worse.
And he's cutting
He's
public
a bit
debt.
crackers, that guy.
It's got... sorry, Mike, what's your source there? Because inflation has gone up and he's devalued the currency even more. So what's your metric for success there?
Because I've read the policies that he's instigated, and I'm telling you, inflation is coming down. It used to go up at 200% a month. It's coming way down.
But
it's got a lot more to
I don't know if it has
But he's
gone down
cut public spending.
He is seen as a bit crackers, though. He's the one who campaigned while carrying a firearm.
And the IMF, well, it was a chainsaw, actually, when he was out, when he's out Korea. And the IMF say that he's on the right track. And that's because, basically, the philosophy is cut state spending, we've got to do that here, and cut taxes.
All right. So we're talking about whether if the Conservatives want tax cuts, they should make some savings and give us tax cuts, or whether, as Marina says, actually, if you're going to make savings, take the money that you get from the savings and spend it on our ailing public services. Simon in Brighton, what do you think?
Can I just say I love Marina when she's on the panel because she sticks up for the little people, and I just think she's wonderful and she's beautiful in every way possible.
Oh, thanks, Simon. That's kind.
Thank you, Simon.
What about me?
I just want to say that the Conservatives have given us the biggest fall in living standards of centuries, for over a century. They've increased our taxes to monumental amounts to pay for things because they've cut it so much. They need the money to pay for things, but they can't. There's no money to pay for things, and now they expect us to give us 2 pence back and say, "Are we got to be grateful for that?" I don't think so.
Well, it's difficult because if they've increased taxes to pay for things, you're against that. I don't know why you're blaming them for cuts.
What I'm saying is that they've cut taxes, and now they realise there's no money to pay for the things that we need, so they've had to put the taxes up. That's what they've done. We can't afford to pay for all the things we want as a country. It's obvious now.
No, Jeremy, what we can't afford is a Conservative government. We know, everyone knows, whether you're Tory or not, or whatever you support, you've seen the waste from this government, right? You have seen the waste, how much they've just funneled money into the private sector, to their pals, the VIP lane.
Well,
the amount, the billions that were spent on wasting HS2. This money, the government is
Rwanda, you can mention Rwanda.
It's like Rwanda, 500 million. No one's even sent there. If we just have a government in place, I don't know who that is yet, we shall see, who just spend this money as if it were their own and were more shrewd, then actually we might see the money that our taxes go into the right places.
But the problem is we just keep throwing money at failing institutions.
That's what Marina's saying.
No, we don't. So
the NHS needs less money. The NHS
No.
needs less money, but greater efficiency to give us the sort of health
service we need. You want to completely reinvent the NHS?
Of course I do. I want to pull it apart and start again.
All right, and what will you do about dentistry? Because most people I know can't get a dentist.
It's a scandal. I mean,
just say, just forget it?
No, I would go back to when I was a kid and you could take your children to a local dentist and have their teeth done for free. That was phased out 30 years ago, and not a government from either side has ever raised it as an issue. It's a scandal.
We may never have a dentistry back. Simon, thank you so much, and your praise for Marina is appreciated. Siobhan in Bournemouth, hi.
Hello.
How's it going, Siobhan?
I also love Marina. She's wonderful.
All right, well, can someone ring and praise Mike soon?
Bit of a Marina love in this morning, isn't it, eh?
So, Siobhan, what do you want to say, apart from that?
I just would like them to actually do what they said they were going to do. In 2019, they said they were going to put a cap on adult social care, and that just hasn't happened. And all they're talking about is like the only idea they have is tax cuts, and the way to do that is to sack more civil servants, apparently. But they sacked all these civil servants without realising what they did, and now everything's broken. They don't, we don't get the £2,000 we used to get when we died before getting our state pension. They took that away. We don't have free dentists. We don't have free ear cleaning, and so those things. It's like a tax on hearing, because to get a hearing test, you have to have clean ears, but you've got to pay £80 to have your ears cleaned.
I know. Do you know what? I covered this the other day. It's such a big thing. They don't do ear cleaning on the NHS anymore. You have to get it done privately, and some people need it 3 times a year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but in the end, we're back with this thing that they haven't got any money, they say. So I suppose Mike's idea is you cut taxes and you give people more money in their pockets.
Well, I mean, if they targeted it and gave it to, say, in working in tax credits, which was supposed to be there to target tax money to the people who needed it most.
As Mike says, people earning 40, 50,000 are taxed
also,
like crazy now.
This is, I'm not sure about how he's going to do it, but if this were to be an income tax cut, then it disproportionately it benefits the wealthy. So if you're earning £2 million a year, this tax cut would mean you save 40k in taxes. If you earn 20k a year, you'll save £150.
But they never give it to the people at the very
but
top.
it's all percentage of what you earn. You're getting back more of it and not giving it to the government.
She knows how percentages work.
Thanks for explaining that to me, Mike.
Melvin and Kent, hi.
The 40k's are allowed.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Yeah, Melvin, what do you think of this? So the government looking for savings to give us tax cuts?
I think it's absolutely horrendous that they're thinking about doing this. I mean, they do better by supporting the household support fund. That 160 councils have expressed their concern about the vulnerable families, and without this support, many households are going to be facing a cliff edge. And also, the 750 police stations that this government has shut, and you never see. I don't know. I know you live in London. Have you seen a policeman lately?
Well,
we're
talking later on about some raids actually in my own local high street, and funny enough, one of the worst ones took place opposite a police station that's just closed. So
I was in a black cab last week.
Oh yeah.
And I talked to the guy, and I said to him, I said, what is it like up here? He said, well, when I first started driving this cab, he said you were roughly 8 minutes away from a police station. Now it's 25 to 30 minutes. I mean, I never see anyone in Oxford Street or Regent Street. Didn't see a policeman.
But they closed the police stations down because they wanted the police officers to stop sitting in them. That's the key thing. So they wanted police officers to be out and about. It was their bright idea to say, right, from now on, you don't have an office. You're going to have to be out and about.
You don't see anyone.
Well, I know. I don't know where they went. In truth. Thanks, Melvin. Got you.
Do you know what else never materialised? And do you remember how much it was drummed into us? 14 new hospitals. They were never delivered.
There's been a lot of promising. We have a YouTube channel as well now. Now, more calls on whether tax cuts would win your vote. Peter in Essex, hi.
Hello there.
We're still waiting for the first person to say they want a tax cut.
Hello. I'm not in favour of them. The division of wealth in this country has got worse. The rich have got richer and the poor have got poorer. I want that guy, Mike, to live a day in another man's moccasins. And perhaps he'd have some idea of how some people have to live in one of the richest countries in the world. It is a disgrace.
Well, the top 1% of taxpayers pay the top 27% of all the income tax, Peter.
But the division of wealth should never be like that. People are obscenely wealthy.
It's true, Mike. In the 70s, there wasn't any. I can't remember anyone rich in this country.
No, Peter. Honestly, we've never been better off in this country. Like most people in the world, have never been better off because as the generations have gone by, we've got wealthier. The problem is, Peter, that there's a huge sense of entitlement in this country. I've already explained to you that.
Just blown Marina's mind.
Do you know what, Mike? You've just become the most ridiculous you've ever been. What on earth are you talking about? Do you understand what people are going through at the moment? Do you know what life is like for people? People are watching this and they can't feed their kids and they can't pay for their energy bills, and you're telling them that they're the wealthiest.
And do you know how generous the social security system is in this country?
It is not.
It is incredibly generous.
It is punitive.
It is incredible. Well, how come then 9.2 million people have decided it's not worth working anymore in this country? 7 million of them can get by without working because they take welfare benefits, Marina.
Well,
loads of people take welfare benefits.
That may not be the right number.
And they're generous ones.
Marina,
one, it doesn't pay to work, and two, 40% of people in work cannot make ends meet because of the mismanagement of the economy, so they have to still rely on welfare.
OK, Peter in Essex, thank you. We appreciate your anger. I heard it, Peter. Sylvia in Durham, what would you like to say? Tax cuts?
Yeah. No. I just think that the Conservative Party has sent this country into obscurity. It is now in such a mess. There is no way out. I think it's very sad to see such a place like Great Britain in the state it's in. When you see people who cannot give their children food, old people who cannot put their heating on and have a sandwich a day, And these people have been through
2 world wars.
food banks, they've been through everything. So to me, I think the Conservative Party should hang their head in shame for what they've done to the ordinary, everyday people of this country. And may I also say, please send my love and regards to your friend Lil.
Oh, my friend Lil in Durham, same county as you. Yes, I will. To Lil friend. Thank you, Sylvia, so much. One day you two are going to meet. OK, it's a score draw between you two. My goodness, you don't agree on anything today.
No.
Mike and Marina. We'll move on now. Should the porridge pretend...